Silence defeats the narcissist. Think about that for a minute. So you're understanding what the smear campaign is. You're understanding what silence is. You're understanding what gaslighting, what triangulation, what narcissism, what empathy, what mindset, and so much more is on this planet. The video that you're watching, it found you. You didn't find it because you were meant to figure this out. You're one of the few people who ever cracked the code and found that needle in a haystack and is realizing and learning about narcissism and about toxicity. Way back when, the narcissists knew what they were doing. They still do right now, but way back when, they knew that you didn't know or you wouldn't figure out who they were. I'm referring to pre-internet, pre-smartphone days. Fast forward to today. Yes, today is May 30th, 2026. You are becoming more and more awakened and aware, educated and empowered. You're learning at such an accelerated rate. You're not learning how to get the high score on Candy Crush. You're not learning how to get the all-time record on Space Invaders or asteroids. What you're doing is trying to figure out where you're going to go from here. And where you go from here is not only continuing to watch the video and keep your cup full, but it's to maintain boundaries, to understand that you didn't know so much about humanity that you thought you knew, or you didn't know so much about humanity that you thought would never affect your life. I jumped on this illustration a few days ago, and I'll say it again. The nightly news, if you still watch it, God bless you. But if you do watch it, what happens there? Well, the nightly news is usually doom and gloom, and it's usually negativity, and it's usually, oh my gosh, the walls are closing in on us, nothing will be the same, the world is ending, etc. Why do you think the nightly news is that way? Ding, 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 you got it. Because it sells, because negativity breeds more negativity, because all of this fluff and all the nonsense, and a lot of it's real, I get it, but a lot of it's rhetoric. What it is it's keeping you trapped in the matrix. Now, I'm gonna get out and off of that soapbox. Your silence destroys the narcissist. Silence breaks the narcissistic abusive cycle. It's one of the key components. Silence allows you to have clarity. Silence puts up boundaries for you. Silence does the talking for you. I created a playlist on silence and the narcissist, and you really, and I strongly suggest you watch those videos. There could be upwards of 15 there, I'm not sure, but this will be added to that playlist. And I have multiple playlists also, but this one's about silence. Now, I opened the video with the smear campaign. There's a reason I did that. You never knew what the smear campaign was before you probably watched one of my videos. Now you understand the smear campaign is when toxic people, not just one person, but toxic people are all piling on one person. That person usually is trapped, they're vulnerable, they're naive, or they don't know what's going on, and they usually have a high level of empathy, and they're being targeted. Well, it takes an army to destroy one person. The narcissist enlisted multiple armies to try to destroy you. Guess what? They failed. You may think they succeeded, they didn't, and I'll prove it right now. The reason why they didn't succeed is you are here. You're getting your cup full, you're getting the wisdom, and now you know how to combat the smear campaign. How do you do that? You don't fan the flames of toxicity. You don't defend, you don't explain, you don't give it any energy. Now, way back when I was discarded years ago, I had the opportunity to fan the flames of the smear campaign, and I could have done it every waking minute of my life for 2 years and 2 days. There was not one time that I ever indulged in referencing the smear campaign, defending it, explaining it, or otherwise. I knew way back when instinctively from all my years on the planet of being an empath, which is what I am and who I am, that if I was going to allow a toxic person to create rumors and lies, i.e. the smear campaign about my life, and I gave it energy, then I would just be stuck and trapped in that loop with them, and I would be feeding them. Remember what I shared with you, feeding them. Your silence empowers you. So way back when, before I close this part of the illustration, I knew that if I were to engage with the dark energy, to engage with the narcissist, and to continue to go back and forth, and I never did that once. I didn't do it one time. But if I did, I'd be trapped in that narcissistic experience again, in the low vibrational state, defending something to a dark energy that doesn't even care. And you may say, well, how did you know that so early? I knew it because I had experienced similar circumstances, although not nearly as horrible as the discard that I experienced years ago, in other relationships, many of which were working relationships, friendships, some were romantic and otherwise. But I had seen that rodeo way before, many times. I didn't put two and two together until a couple weeks after the discard. When I did, It was light bulb central. Light bulbs were going off in my mind left, right, and center. And one of the first things I did, although I didn't know the term smear campaign, I knew that silence would be instrumental for me. I knew that being in control of my emotions, being in control of what I was going to do, and to create a plan, develop it, get ready to execute it, and implement it when the time was right would be necessary and imperative. I also knew that not one person, and I do mean this, not one person knocked on my door post-relationship. Now, I've shared that in years during videos, and you may say, well, yeah, why do you keep sharing that? I share it to let you know that you too most likely experienced what I did. No one was there to save the day. No one was there to knock on your door and give you a hug and say, hey, it's going to be okay, or here's what happened. They didn't do that. And what these people, many of which are toxic themselves, some of which were too busy with their own lives, and others didn't want to get involved because they could be the next target at the hands of the narcissist. What they don't realize is that their life will go sideways just like yours did. It may not come at the hands of the narcissist. Maybe it's a health challenge. Maybe they lose a job. Maybe they get foreclosed upon. I don't know what it is. Full disclosure, I hope that everyone's doing well on the planet. And when I say everyone, yes, I do mean everyone. All these things equal, silence destroys the narcissist. Silence breaks the narcissist. Silence will create a narcissistic injury within the narcissist. Now again, I don't wish ill will upon anybody. I'm not going to start now. But I will share this. When you learn what a boundary is and you realize that silence is part of a boundary, no matter how hard it will be or challenging it will be or was if you already did it, when you realize that a boundary does the work for you, and this will allow you to recharge your battery, to heal, to stay in the cocoon of boundaries, and to really understand what happened to you, when you realize that, then you understand that going no contact is the only path. Because if you haven't gone no contact yet, you need to ask yourself, what are you waiting for? Why haven't you done it? And when are you going to do it? Now, side note, caveat, I understand maybe you have kids with the narcissist, maybe you're still waiting to get divorced, maybe you're waiting for the assets to be divided, or the kids to get college age or high school age, whatever it is. I get the whole thing. Your circumstances are unique to yourself, yet similar to mine and each and every one of us who have ever been trapped in a narcissistic relationship, which is why we are all on the healing path, headed in the same direction, simply taking different footsteps. I could be 500 yards in front of you. You could be 10 miles behind me. I don't know where you are. What I do know is we are all helping each other work towards arriving at that mountaintop of indifference. Yes, the pinnacle of indifference. And silence is one of the most important things for you to understand. When your silence speaks for you, which means you are at a party, or you're at a get-together, or you're paying for food or groceries, or you're in Uber, not on an airplane or in a bus, or maybe you're in a work meeting, because the narcissist is all around the workforce, and you hear a tasteless joke. Maybe the old you would chuckle and laugh a little bit, or maybe the old you would be like, wow, that's really not cool, but okay, I need my job. The new you isn't going to do that at all. The new you has been activated. The new you realizes that tasteless jokes, there's always a butt of the joke. The new you realizes that a backhanded compliment isn't a compliment at all, it's a dig. The new you realizes that narcissism is everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. It's been swarming around you since the second you were born until right now. Now, I know many people don't want to hear that. It's really a daunting and difficult experience to wrap your head around the fact that, yeah, there are a lot of toxic people out there. Well, that's reality. The thing is, when you see it, you can't unsee it. And you can't unsee it because now you've understood, or you're understanding, how humanity works. One thing you need to realize is that the narcissist deliberately and intentionally looks to infiltrate people's lives and to steal whatever they can from said person. And once they get whatever they want, or once that person has the narcissist's dirty fangs sunken into them, it is game, set, match, advantage narcissist. It is not until that relationship has ended by a discard, or you or the target ends the relationship, however you look at it, that that person begins to heal. You can't heal when you're still tethered to the narcissist. And you may say, well, no, what are you talking about? Of course I can. Yes, of course. You can be diligent and do all the work. You can watch all the videos, you can journal, you can meditate. You can do whatever you need to do, which is exactly what I did. But when you officially cut the ties from the narcissist, and I do mean the 4 ties, the coined ties that the expression that I coined 5+ years ago, the emotional, the financial, the physical, and of course the spiritual tie. When you cut those all, every one of them, you will realize you are not only free as you've ever been, you're liberated. You're not tethered to said person. and you can do whatever you want. You don't have to have access to them, nor should you. You don't have to deal with the lawyer. You don't have to deal with people saying, oh, well, so-and-so said this, so-and-so saw that person, etc. That's why I suggest, and I've been pounding the table for years, go no contact. What are you waiting for? Again, if you can't do it yet, I get it. Understand that in time, in your time, you will do it when you're ready. But still being connected to the narcissist, it has never served you. It won't today, and it certainly won't in the future, which is why silence destroys the narcissist. Silence empowers the empath. Silence puts up a boundary that can't be dented. Silence speaks volumes. All these things and many more I created years and years ago, and I'm touching up the series right now in the playlist about silence and the narcissist, because silence is a superpower. Think about this for a quick moment. Let's put narcissism on the side. But you are at your favorite coffee shop grabbing a coffee, or maybe you just got done exercising at the gym and you're drinking a bottle of water, whatever you're doing, and you're talking with friends. I said this, I'm gonna say it again. You're putting narcissism on the side. You're just communicating with healthy, stable people, we hope. But you're communicating with those people, and you say a couple sentences about anything like, oh my gosh, that was the best exercise I ever had. Before you can finish your sentence, sometimes those people, and they're healthy and stable, but what will they do? They will cut you off or interject. Not always, and I'm not saying they're the narcissist. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is people like to talk about themselves. Think about what I'm mentioning to you. Most people on the planet like to talk about themselves. Now, did you ever really realize that? You probably didn't. But think about what I'm sharing with you. How many times, I'm not talking about narcissism, I'm talking about average, everyday people. How many times have you tried to talk to an average person and just get one point across and it went right over their head? This is when you, I'm talking about you, are in post-narcissistic relationship territory and you've healed or you're healing. And you're trying to communicate with an average person who doesn't know what narcissism is, but you're trying to talk to them about anything, but nothing with narcissism. And how many times do they actually understand what you're sharing or listen to you? Very few, right? See, that's why you're different, because you can read energy. I can read energy probably better than anybody I've ever even thought about reading energy. And you may say, well, why would you say that, Andrew, if you can read it? Why tell us? I'm telling you because I've been transformed. Go back in time, watch the first video I ever created, March 31st, 2021, called Glad You Made It. Think about what I'm sharing. Think about how far I've come. Think about how far you've come. And now understand it's not just narcissism or empathy or mindset or energy. It's you being understood, you being appreciated, you being heard, you being listened to, you being nurtured and being on a common ground with other people. You could never get any of that with the narcissist. And truth be told, post-narcissistic relationship, after you've healed, you realize that, yeah, there are many of us out there, I'm one of them, but we're scattered all over the planet. So we are nodes, N-O-D-E-S, nodes all over the planet, nodes of light, nodes of abundance. We're getting stronger. And that's why our silence is speaking for us. That's why I create videos every day. That's why you come back to watch videos every day. That's why you're understanding that you're stronger than you know. That's why you're also understanding that you need to control what you can control. You need to take the lifelong learning lessons from the past, not predict the future. And you need to live in the present moment where the abundance takes place. Everything comes full circle on this planet called Earth. Every single thing. And I'll give you one example, then I'll close the video. And if you're not certain of some of the things I shared in this video, play it multiple times, because it'll click with you eventually. It will, as should most, if not all, my videos. Everything goes full circle. And here's an example. My favorite holiday used to be Halloween. Is it still? Well, to me, Halloween's a great day, but so is every other day of the year. All 365 plus 1, 366 counting leap year. And I think leap year is either this year, or I think it's next year or the year after, whatever. Anyway, you cut it. My discard, when I was discarded, was 2 days before that day. Think about it. That's Halloween, right? Was that a coincidence? Not even close. Now fast forward, I sold my house 2 years and 2 days later. Do the math with me. 2 years, 2 days later, from what was my favorite holiday, Halloween. I sold it on Halloween. See what I'm trying to share with you? That was over 760 some days of isolation, lockdown, left for dead, crumbled up like a sheet of paper thrown away in the freeway. And the people that did that, the dark energy that did that, they never thought I would rise through the ashes like a phoenix because they didn't think any human being could do it. I did. You're doing it too. This is fantastic. So that's why everything comes full circle. And why I shared that? Because if you think for a minute that the narcissist can change, you're wrong. You think for a minute the narcissist is giving the new supply, all the adoration and the love and everything that you never got, you would be wrong. You think that the narcissist doesn't know what they're doing, you would be wrong. You need to understand something. You are caught up in a devaluation stage. You are caught up in a trauma bond. You are caught up in the narcissistic fog. All three of those places exist. They are real. You can't touch them, but you can feel them. This is what the narcissist does. It's an invisible touch of toxicity. It's a cloak of manipulation that surrounds a target. And once that target gets out of that invisible cloak, they're going nowhere. And I mean nowhere near that dark energy ever again. That's why you need to let the silence do the talking for you. Let the silence put up boundaries for you, and let the silence help you heal. It's instrumental you play this video and play it over and over and over again, because you are stronger than you know. You were in the cycle, you're out, and now you're healing. And there are so many better days ahead, but you need to believe in yourself the way I believe in you. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. A few quick things. 1, you are stronger than you know. 2, you are not alone. Understand this. There's a reason that I created a channel, this channel, March 31st, 2021, in real time on a Thursday night, and it's called Narc Daily Dash. You are not alone. Why do you think I used that? Because I was alone, I was abandoned, I was left for dead, and I was isolated, and I didn't and don't and never will want you to feel that way. That's why the title is what it is. So really understand, this is your life. You need to take the bull by the horns and implement no contact. If not now, when? Love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye.